I thought my camera was on just a minute ago. Ori just did a beautiful thing, which I was describing to the camera, but the camera was off. Basically, she approached me from the side. My body's facing this way. She's coming at me from this direction. She entered my personal field, my personal zone, and then she sniffed my arm. Now, here's the thing. Sheep don't sniff each other unless they're trying to be pushy. That's the only time I've ever seen my girls, anyway. And I recognize that their behaviors do change just subtly from herd to herd, flock to flock, because they have different cultures in there. I'm going to use the word culture because that's all I can figure to call it. But there's very subtle differences between the way the animals are traditionally raised from person to person, right? Basically, getting back on the chain of thought that I was on before, was that sheep don't sniff each other unless they're trying to be pushy, or they have been taught in their particular cultures, sheep cultures, to engage in that way, right? For example, I know a gal in England, she loves to love on these animals, on these little South Down baby dolls' faces and stuff, and that is completely weird from a sheep's standpoint, but she raises them from the time that they're like fresh out of the womb to accept that kind of affection. And so that's the way that they ask for it, is they put their faces to her face, which my girls, they think that's absolutely rude. You don't engage with them that way. And there's a lot of good reasons for that, which we'll go into later. But basically, she approached me from the side, which is good because we don't approach each other face to face. The sheep, like I was talking about before, when they're forward facing, that's typically a response to danger, and to one another, like Puzzle and Ori, they will never look each other straight on unless they're about to headbutt, right? That is very aggressive behavior for these guys.
What are you girls doing? I'm gonna shear the rest of you, Ori Lala. You don't need to be angry at Puzzle. She's grouchy because I only sheared half her face so I could clean my shears off. Puzzle gets all the way sheared, so she's upset about it. Trust me, Puzzle or Lala, I will be cheering you too.
That was a little clip I did just after they'd been sheared, obviously. or was in the middle of shearing them. But that kind of shows you, demonstrates for you the difference, the importance of direction, and how when they're facing each other, directed, you know, we have Puzzle and Ori directly at each other, how that can be a sign of aggression. Whereas just a minute ago when I was talking about Ori, she approached me from the side, which is a whole lot more respectful. Okay, she still breathed on me, as you can see that Puzzle and Ori, when they were breathing in each other's faces and licking and stuff, that we would interpret that as people, because we're familiar with dogs, a lot of people have companion dogs, that would be cute if it was a dog, but because it's a sheep, it's not, it's aggressive, it's not being friendly and cute, right? So when Ori came at the side, she was being much more respectful, and then she breathed on me, being pushy, yes, but what she was doing was asking for love and affection rather than being aggressive, coming at me, you know, face to face. So you can see that there is a little bit of pushiness going on there because of that breath on my shoulder, but she was also being affectionate in that she approached me from the side and not straight on. So you can see the direction makes a difference in their orientation and things. So the speed that you're going is your tone of voice. The direction is typically the subject, because they'll be facing whatever they're talking about, pretty much. The proximity is the relationship, is expressed through the relationship that they have with that object or person or an individual, whatever. And then the gestures are the specifics of the conversation, the details. Okay, so that's the way I like to refer to it, because I speak English, I love to write, and the conversation material, you know, it makes sense when you put it in that context. But it is a language, and just like English is a language that has different rules than, you know, Latin and Spanish and other, you know, German, other things. Different languages have different rules. These are rules that pertain to the language of sheep, and they can be translated by different individuals differently. Okay, just like if you have a translator standing up in a congregation, listening to the speaker, for example, and then translating it for the crowd, they're using their own words to describe what they're hearing, right? And a different translator might do it a little bit differently, but they'd still be able to get the general meaning across to the audience, right? So that's what I'm doing by interpreting their body language and behavior. There are some things it would be really hard and difficult to describe, you know, because it's so subtle. But if it was easy to describe, it would have been done before. Humans and sheep have had a very, very long relationship. You know, they go together, you know, almost since the dawn of time, but at least far enough back that it's like in the second generation of man in the Bible. So basically, if it was easy to express, it would have been done before. But this is not it's not simple to explain, describe, or demonstrate, especially in front of the camera, because, like I said, my body language changes a little when I'm talking to the camera. Their body language also changes a little when my body language changes. It's just like hanging out with a group of friends. If you have somebody enter the scene that you're not comfortable with, or one friend begins to act a little bit off because they're not comfortable, it changes the whole atmosphere of the conversation. And if you're into body language and your subtlety, and you know what I'm talking about. Okay? So, all that said, let's keep going.